Australia's government has passed a law reintroducing the controversial temporary protection visas. It means 30,000 asylum seekers will only be allowed to live and work in Australia for up to 5 years, even if they're found to be genuine refugees. Andrew Thomas reports.
I was a big man in Afghanistan.
In Afghanistan, Obaidullah Mehak ran a human rights organisation and did work for the American government. When his brothers were killed and he was shot in the leg, he fled to Indonesia and then on a rickety boat to Australia. That was in April 2013. He was initially held in a detention centre before being released on what Australia's government called a bridging visa. His life since has been in limbo, not allowed to work, living on a subsistence government income. It has, he says, broken him. He has felt subhuman. Mehak and 30,000 like him who came by boat will now be put on what's called temporary protection visas. They will be allowed to work, but the criteria by which their refugee claims will be assessed will be stricter, with few rights of appeal. Most are likely to be sent back to the countries from which they fled. Australia's government is unapologetic.
Not only the government has sent another strong message to the people smugglers about our resolve to end their business forever, but it has sent a strong message of resolve from the Australian Parliament. And that is something that will only further strengthen our country's borders.
To get the new law through Parliament, the government made concessions to politicians whose support they needed. All children currently held in detention centres will be released. But using that as a bargaining chip has angered those who weren't won over.
I am appalled. Many people in this country tonight would be appalled. Using children as hostages is never okay, and only a sociopath would do it.
These kids have been sitting there for 15 months and you want a pat on the back? You've got to be kidding yourselves. These kids could have been out 15 months ago.
Most children of asylum seekers are held on Australia's Christmas Island. The government says it hopes to have them on the mainland within 3 weeks, by Christmas. They may be tough, but judged by their own criteria of stopping the boats, the government's policies are working. Members of the government like to say that that stops people from drowning at sea when overloaded boats sink. But their policies have a human cost too. Andrew Thomas, Al Jazeera, Sydney.